Good morning. Welcome to the Haywood County Board of Commissioners meeting for October 5th, 2015. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings that you have bestowed on us. Thank you for allowing us to live in this great county. Please help our neighbors as they recover from heavy rains our area and state experienced this weekend. Remember and help our elderly and our children and those in need. Protect our troops overseas as well as people who protect us here at home. Guide us today as we make decisions for our county and our citizens. In your name, amen.
Okay, we'll move to the public comment session. Mr. Travis Wesley.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
He's probably one of the few that are going to be here today to actually talk about the proposal from the Regional Recycling Solution Center. I was made aware that they're looking to purchase a large piece of property right there where me and several of my neighbors actually call home. Right, Beaver Dam Industrial Park is obviously that of an industrial nature. However, when we moved there and we saw the community that was behind the industrial park, kind of took me by surprise, because I never would have thought by driving into there that there was actually homes nestled in a nice little area just behind. My problem is their phase one of their proposal is actually my entire view of ConNet, basically, of the industrial park. What I look at is basically a big mess that they're looking to bring in. I mean, they want to bring in a recycling facility that's basically a landfill, so to speak, that they want to put a roof over. They had I guess made a proposal out there in Buckham County, Pond Road, and that turned into a pretty big debate, and I'm pretty sure that many of our neighbors in Canton are willing to stand up and do the same. I saw that it's quite a large project, upwards of $20 million. And when I looked to see how many employment opportunities that would bring into the area, I see very few considering the amount of money that they want to spend on that particular project. I think from what I remember reading, 50 jobs or fewer. And to justify that, I have a feeling that a lot of people would end up moving out of their homes in that particular area just due to the extra traffic and the noise. So I do look forward to actually hearing a little bit more about what comes of the Regional Recycling Solutions plans and what kind of facilities they look to operate. It's kind of why I'm here today, so I can help inform my neighbors a little bit and just kind of figure out what their intentions are. And hopefully that you guys will say, hey, you know, perhaps that area is better suited for something a little bit smaller in size. According to their plans that I was able to find on the internet, and I actually work at ConNet, have for a while, their buildings are going to dwarf ConNet, which I consider to be a pretty large facility in itself. So I just hope you guys would consider the fact that there are families that live behind that particular little nestle property that enjoy the little bit of serenity that we have. And if they decide they're going to start building, and you guys allow them to actually build up in there, and that's really going to hurt quite a few people that call that place home, including the deer that I like to watch frolic through that field. I'm not being unrealistic about it. I do know that that's definitely an industrial area and is designed to actually have some kind of a facility on it. I'm just asking that you guys think about, you know, maybe a recycling center is probably not the best thing to put up in there. That's about all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie King.
morning.
Are you Debbie King?
Oh, I thought you said Denny. Can I go ahead and go since I'm up here?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm here to talk also about the property in the Beaver Dam Industrial Park. And, you know, there are a lot that we don't know. And some of the questions that I would have is what materials are they that's going to be recycled? What happens to the leftover materials that are not recycled? What are these? What is this material going to be? Are there going to be any hazardous waste? Are they going to? And where is it going to come from? And is a incinerator planned? Because I have heard that they may be. And why did Transylvania County reject Mr. Allison's plan? And why did Buncombe County reject it? There are also a couple of deeds with restrictions on that property. One of them is 412, page 690. And that come from John Reno, who has now passed away. But he had said that the land could never be used for junkyards or garbage. And also there another one, deed 454, page 2007. It also has restrictions concerning garbage. And like I said, we don't know a lot about this at this point. Heard about it a couple of days ago. But I wanted to ask, are there a remote area that's not in a neighborhood where this could be put? And as I understand it, it's 55 acre tract of land, and the county's going to fund $330,000, I think. And to use that much land for one facility, is that good use of that property? I would like to request, and several other people agree with me on this, a 30-day minimum delay on voting on this plan so studies can be done on the economic and environmental factors that are involved with this project. I would also request a town hall meeting with Mr. Allison, who is the owner of this company, and it's my understanding they have never built anything. They don't have any of these sites currently. And I think it would be good if our Beaver Dam community could have a town hall type meeting to where we could ask him specific questions. We would also like to know and review a contract, whatever contract the county has with this facility if it goes through. And if we don't get the answers to the questions, we would like that 30-day minimum limit extended until we understand exactly what we're going to have in our community. And I would like to ask you if you would agree to that 30-day request, and also a public hearing prior to voting on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There were two requests for Debbie King. Do you want to talk? You only get one chance to talk. And I guess your daughter has signed up too, Nicole Hartley.
I don't know, maybe. I'm Debbie King. I live in the Beaver Dam community, and we read Friday that this is on the agenda today for this new company to come in. I don't have a speech necessarily ready, just a few comments I'd like to say. There were meetings that were held in Buncombe County prior to this being discussed, is my understanding. The meetings were held up as late as July the 8th. That was just a few months ago. It seems like Haywood County is moving very fast. That was July 8th, 2015. The Mountain Express, there was an article by Benton, and the title of it is Recycling Debated. Pond Road residents say no to regional recycling solutions. And this is quoting from the article. You can have the most beautiful facility in the world, but you'll destroy my property. Are you going to be a good neighbor about that? Toward the end of the meeting, Allison admitted, we didn't think there would be this much concern. The room erupted in reply. What universe do you live in? That is unreal. Put it in your own backyard. Now, I'm not saying don't bring it. I'm not saying bring it. We don't know enough about this right now. And there are neighbors that are directly, the road up above, there's neighbors directly across the streets. So some of the questions would be, how many trucks are we looking at? This is a narrow road that goes into this park. And there are homes all along this road. How many dump trucks are going to be coming on this road? What are they going to be hauling? And the presentation is going to tell you how many jobs this is supposed to bring in. And if it brings in as many as they're saying, sounds to me like they're going to be hauling a lot of waste to this facility. So I too am requesting a meeting with the owner of this company, and I'm sure we could have it at the Beaver Dam Community Center and let the neighbors weigh in on this before you guys do anything. That's my request.
Thank you. Okay, Nicole Harley.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Harley. My husband is David. He is at work right now, or he would be here speaking also. We live in Beaver Dam. I grew up in the area, and we recently, this past year, built a house there. And I'm really concerned with having the waste trucks driving up and down the road. It's a narrow road. We are on that road many times a day. And also, I'm not really sure what you guys are going to be bringing in as far as the waste goes and what's going to happen to it. And I second my mom and dad and just would like to have more information for the public to be aware, for Beaver Dam community to be aware of what is getting ready to be placed in our neighborhood, because the neighbors that I've talked to have no idea that this is even in the works. And so maybe we could do something at the Beaver Dam Community Center, and people can come out and ask questions and we can get more information. We love Beaver Dam and would love to stay there, but I'm not sure if this comes, if, you know, what it will do to the houses in that area. I think it will really bring the value of those homes down, and I would just like to request that we have an opportunity to ask questions and get answers to those questions. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else present who would care to speak? Okay, thank you. We'll move then to constituent concerns. Michael?
Oh, ours taken care of mine.
Kevin? Kirk?
Don't have any.
I'm just happy the river stayed within its banks.
Okay. We don't have any administrative agency reports. Are there any adjustments to the agenda today? Okay. I'll note that the first item of new business today is a presentation by the Regional Recycling Solutions, and I'm sure that many of the questions that people have will be answered and addressed during that presentation. That would be items 1 and 2 of new business. Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. We've had the opportunity to review the September 21st, 2015 regular meeting minutes. Are there any changes to those? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to the presentation of the tax levy and order of collections for 2015 taxes. We have our tax collector, Mike Matthews. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. The tax levy for 2015 is $38,019,007.06, and with the penalty of that for the late listings are $138,226.74. It comes to a total of $38,157,233.80.
Glad it's millions. It's
That's a lot of numbers. And I guess with that, then just need the order of collections.
I was just wondering, what was the increase from last year on the levy?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. They give us the amount, and that's kind of, I would assume,
It's about 2 million.
yeah.
And of that 2 million, do you know what were it, other than construction?
Honestly, I do not know. I mean, that comes from the assessor's office, gives that to us, and then we go from there with it.
Okay. I was just, well, one of the reasons that the levy's more this year, and I just wanted to note that, was the hospital is now privatized. And so monies that were, the hospital used to be a nonprofit. Now that it's a for-profit hospital, they do pay property taxes as well as sales taxes. And I don't know exactly what that amount is, but that is one reason that we're bumped up a little bit on our tax levy, was from the hospital. I forget how many $1 million it's assessed at, but that was one of the reasons. I just want to let the commissioners know and the public know that, that's because it's, we no longer, in the past, we used to give money for indigent care to the hospital, and it was a little bit of a drain on the county, and now it's a positive because they're paying taxes on their facility and on the sales tax. So I just wanted the public to know that.
Okay. Do you have any comments on the order of collections? Okay. That's, do you have that with you?
I do.
Okay. If you could read that.
Read it over? Okay. To the tax collector of the County of Haywood, you are hereby authorized and empowered and commanded to collect the taxes set forth in the tax records filed in the office of Haywood County Tax Assessor, and the tax receipts herewith delivered to you in the amounts and from the taxpayers likewise therein set forth. Such taxes are hereby declared to be a first lien upon all real property of the respective taxpayers in the County of Haywood, and this order shall be full and sufficient authority to direct, require, and enable you to file tax judgments, levy on and sell any real or personal property of such taxpayers for and on account thereof in accordance with the law. Witness my hand and official seal this 5th day of October 2015.
Thank you. Any questions of Mike? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to Julie Davis. We have 3 budget amendments. Good morning.
Good morning. The first budget amendment that I have for you is for $1,000. It's actually moving some expenses that were budgeted between 2 different departments. I think we may have put them in the wrong place when we did the budget. It's $1,000. We're moving from Health Department salaries and wages to the breast and cervical cancer grant line item.
Okay. Okay.
And the next one is a new grant. This is $10,000 into the Health Department, and it is for obesity, diabetes, heart disease, stroke prevention program.
Questions there? Okay.
And the last one is a capital project ordinance. What I've decided to do, since we're going to be building a new animal shelter, is to go ahead and put the land that we're getting ready to purchase into the capital project and have it set up ready for the construction. I'm putting $230,000 in here. The property actually cost $233,500, and then we have some closing expenses, and we had put $5,000 down when we put in the option. So this capital project ordinance is for $230,000.
And a
Just
portion
for the
of this money is
project.
from sales of other property that we had at one point.
Yes, we do, and if you're looking at the ordinance, but if you look at the back, I have hit fund balance for a little bit of money, $75,324, but the majority, $154,676, is for sale of assets that we have already done this year, some county properties, that's right.
Okay, any questions of Julie? Okay, if not, we'll move to the 4th item. Stony Blevins is here to discuss a contract valued at over $50,000, which requires board approval. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bring before you today a contract over $50,000. This is actually for child care subsidy. in the amount of $3,080,000. A couple things I'd like to point out for your benefit as well as the public is $80,000 this contract is actually for the administration of the contract. We contract with Southwest Child Development to administer these funds, and they actually do this in a regional approach for all 7 western counties. The $3 million actually goes directly to child care centers. So it's somewhat of an economic driver. So that money goes directly from the state office to child care centers. These are private centers. These are not-for-profit centers in churches and also in after-school programs throughout the county. In July, this program served just a little over 600 children in our county in 40 centers.
And this is pass-through funding from the federal and state
Yes, and this is
government?
pass-through funding. There's actually no county dollars at all in this contract.
Okay. Any questions of Stoney?
I was just going to ask, how is the money applied for, and who determines what entities
As a
receive
part of
it?
that contract, if a citizen needs help with child care assistance, they can go to that office, Southwest Child Development Office, and it's an eligibility process. It's based off of your income and having children. And some folks may pay a small fee, and it would be based off your income. So some folks may pay a little more than others, but the purpose, really, the primary purpose of these funds is for working parents, for low-wealth working parents.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'd also say if a citizen has questions about that, they can call our office, and we'd be glad to help walk them through that process to get them there if they need some assistance.
Thank you, Stoney.
Anything else? Okay, if there's no further questions, then would entertain a motion that the consent agenda as presented be approved.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have any old business, so the first item of new business, I'd welcome Ken Allison, the managing partner of Regional Recycling Solutions. Mr. Allison, if you join us, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you this morning. As stated, my name is Ken Allison. I'm the managing partner of Regional Recycling Solutions. We are a recycling center. We are based, I'm a Henderson County native, and the company's based in North Carolina. We're proposing to purchase property in the Haywood County Beaver Dam Industrial Park and here in Haywood County and build a state-of-the-art European-style recycling plant. The first slide, basically we will be able to defer some of the volumes that's going into the current landfill. That is plastics and paper and cardboard that would otherwise go to a landfill and would be lost and would not be able to be recovered for recycling. This will also add to the county's lifespan of the landfill, which would enhance the longevity of the landfill. We spent about 2 years researching the recycling industry, and we've hired a staff that has a little over 100 years' experience in the recycling business. From that experience of researching and looking into the industry very, very deeply, we found that we just couldn't find a solution that we were really happy with in the U.S. industry. So we started looking at Europe, and in Europe they have a zero waste mandate in that everything that is thrown away or tossed is recycled in some fashion or another. We are not able to do that well in the U.S., but that was the goal and to get the absolute best facility we possibly could. The facility that you're seeing in the photo is in Lawrence, Kansas. It's the first facility in the U.S. These are multi-stream recycling facilities, and they are able to take commercial waste and the recycled separated waste and do a very, very good job with those. The in-stream waste that's the things that we will not be able to process, will be transferred to the landfill. But we will be able to capture anywhere from 30 to 90% based on what's coming into the facility. The phase one of the facility will have a $12 million investment in land, equipment, and buildings, 20 employees in production, 7 employees in administrative, and 3 employees in logistics, plus benefits. One thing that DENR is our regulatory authority, Department of Environment, Health, and Natural Resources in the North Carolina region. We've had extensive talks with DENR, and we sat down with them because we were building a number of these plants, and we wanted to see what their goals and objectives were and what we could do to make this the best it could be. One of the first things that they added to our list of things to do was, it would be wonderful to have this inside a building in a controlled environment, and where you could have it right beside a church, a school, in any industrial park, in any kind of commercial setting. We're going to do full landscaping. We are very conscious of the neighbors and the development to the back of us. We have already designed evergreen screens along the road that enters into their property. And we feel like we can be very good neighbors to these folks, and there's very little noise. Everything is indoors. The only activity would be some trucks coming in from the industrial side on the industrial road. In phase one, we'll be coming up that road that leads right into the property. This building is 120 feet wide by 575 feet long, and all the production activity will occur in the building. This is a design to scale of the inside of the building, showing the processing and separating equipment. All we do at this facility is separate materials and send them on to a processor. We have contracts for the cardboard going to paper mills to reuse that cardboard and repurpose it into other products. The same way with the plastics, same way with the paper, and the same way with any glass fraction we may come up with. The receiving floor on the lower left of the building is the trucks will back into the front of the building, and they will tip into that receiving floor, and any material that's not processable will be loaded inside that building onto a truck going to the landfill. And then any material that's acceptable will be put onto the beginning of the separation equipment and go through the system. This is a very highly automated system that has the absolute latest technologies. A lot of thought and time has been put into this. We settled with a German company named Stadler Manufacturing. Stadler's been around since the late 1890s. And all of our workers are in the blue cabins where the air is filtered and it's heated and air conditioned when it needs to be. The noise levels, OSHA did a study for us, and the noise levels are so low that none of our production employees on the line inside the building are required to even have hearing protection. So we feel like we can be a very good neighbor to our folks up the mountain from us. This is another shot showing the lower level of the building, showing the automation, and the recyclables are traveling onto a belt to eventually be baled. All of our equipment is galvanized, and this is another shot showing the transfer of the material. Once again, all inside the building, and building is insulated, roof and walls. That provides us with another barrier of sound. This is a shot of the current property and how the building would fit on that property and the entrance road coming in. and this would be phase one of the site plan. This is done by Brooks Engineering in Asheville. Also, as a component of every site and every plant that we do, we have a visitor education center. We feel like this is a 60 by 75-foot building, and this building will have a 40-seat theater room in it. In North Carolina, the fourth grade classes have a recycling semester, and we are planning on inviting all the fourth grade classes from all 18 counties in the western region to come and see this. The educational programs are being developed by the state for those children. We also have a young adult program, and we have an adult program. The building will also be available for community uses for anyone who has a need, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, church groups, what have you. We want to make this very community friendly, and it's very important to us to do the education on recycling. We've found that in other areas of the country, at other facilities where they've had a real high education component, the children go back and talk to mom and dad, and it works. They're doing a lot of recycling. And that gets us a much higher percentage of recycled materials if it's source separated at the homes. And we also have a little contest program that we implement every quarter for the elementary schools. Those are sponsored by local businesses and regional recycling, and the school that collects the most paper that month would get either a field trip or a computer technology equipment for that school, or whatever the need may be. But we feel like the educational component is a big part of what we're bringing to the table. Phase 2 and 3 of the facility, to take in the additional property, there's an $8 million additional infrastructure, 21 additional employees in phase 2, and phase 3 is $4.8 million additional infrastructure and 20 additional employees. This will occur sometime in years 7 and 8, if not before. And this is an overall site plan showing the arrangement of the 3 buildings in the 3 phases. This is a conceptual drawing showing the elevations and showing how the property would look with 3D modeling. We have future plans to open 12 other facilities in the United States and North America, and we would also like to consider locating our corporate headquarters here in Haywood County. We think it's a beautiful piece of property. We're very impressed with it, and have been very impressed with the staff in working on the project and helping us along. But you've got a great community, and we do want to make sure that we're a good neighbor, and we think we can do that. And was there any other questions?
Any questions? I know we've had the opportunity to have numerous conversations with you, of course.
I guess from some of the comments this morning, no, we are certainly not an incineration facility. We are not a landfill. We are a recycling center, and we're simply going to separate and bale and send that material on to processors, just to clarify, so that there's lots of concerns, and want to make sure that, everyone understands what we're all about.
Would you, which you've already done to us, but explain the difference that was brought up about what you were trying to do in Transylvania County at once upon a time?
I think the gentleman was mistaken. That was Henderson County. Okay. Yeah, we had originally looked at doing a project in Henderson County, and we had to put 2 landowners together in Henderson County in order to make that project where we'd have the size of the real estate that we needed. We were unable to get the second party to sell us the property. We couldn't come to terms with him. So that was one stumbling block with the Henderson County deal. We just couldn't put the property together in the Fletcher Industrial Park area. And that was our biggest issue was that part of it.
But once upon a time, wasn't you involved in something in Transylvania? You were going to try to do some kind of...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
okay, the Transylvania project was, we have the only, my family has the only industrial park in Transylvania County, and that may be what the gentleman was referring to. We were selling property to a group from New York to do a waste-to-energy project on 26 acres of our industrial park in Transylvania County. That project received lots of opposition from the local public and never got off the ground. The commissioners decided not to do that project at that time, but that was a waste-to-energy project, and we were the folks selling the land at that time.
This project is nowhere near like that.
No, this is not waste-to-energy. This is simply recycling. You know, it's a waste-to-energy involves gasification and pyrolysis, and really some unproven technologies that I wouldn't have been comfortable with. We're very conservative folks, and what we're doing here, Stadler has 266 of these plants operating worldwide. First plant is operating in Lawrence, Kansas. They're very happy with it, the folks over there. They're recovering over 96% of the material coming in is being repurposed into new products. So that is a 10-ton-an-hour facility, and we are proposing a 25-ton-an-hour facility here in Haywood.
I just had some questions and comments, Ken. I had worked on this property in the early 90s when it became an industrial park, and I'm a land surveyor by trade, so we had surveyed that out and designed or had laid out roads and stuff like that. And then the subdivision that lies behind the industrial park was put in at a later date. I was surprised that they did that because lots next to industrial park, but they did, and they sold the lot. So the industrial park has been there for 20 years plus years. And I know when they did that, they widened the road, Beaver Dam Road, to the industrial park. So I know that the state did that because we're putting an industrial park there. And also, you had noted that Diener will be regulating what you all do there.
Yes, sir. We're fully regulated industry by Department of Environment, Health, and Natural Resources, as is any recycling center. And we have a state application that's several hundred pages that we would be working on should we get the green light here to do the project. And it would be only with Diener approval that we would build the project, and Diener would have ongoing regulatory authority as long as we're there.
Okay. And then I wanted to also, I think I read where there are no emissions.
Right.
I think I read that somewhere.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
in the information. Also, I know I personally recycle, and I put my recyclables out on my porch, which, and I live out in the country where we got coyotes and bobcats, and I've never had anything get in it because recyclables are cleaner.
Right.
And
right.
So I just wanted to make that comment. And I appreciate the fact that y'all put an educational building there, because I think as time goes on, and we understand it because we're faced with solid waste issues, there's going to be less and less, they're not permitting landfills anymore.
Right.
So we've got to get to the European model, which is what this is, to recycle. And I appreciate that this is a state-of-the-art, world-class. This is a world-class facility. This is what they use in Europe, where they don't have landfills. And I know that you had mentioned you're going to do an evergreen buffer, I believe, next to the
well, we have
subdivision.
extensive landscaping plan for the project, and that will be done absolutely prior to operation. It will be completely finished.
Okay.
We're very conscious of the road going through the property up to the neighbors in the rear, and we're putting in 20-foot evergreens on the west side of that property to screen those homes from the view of the buildings, and we think that'll be very appropriate. Those trees are on hold, and we've got them ready to go should we get the green light. And then we'll use extensive landscaping on the entrance roads and the Visitor Education Center and the processing facility.
Okay, that's all I have.
Yeah, the ConMet building would be almost adjacent to where your facility would be, and people can see it now.
Yeah, our property joins.
It's an
the property
industrial
joins each
type
other. Mm-hmm. Right.
Building. Not much unlike what you're proposing.
actually.
You mentioned the company that produces the equipment, Stadler.
Stadler Manufacturing out of Germany.
Manufacturing, huge in Germany, well-known company.
They're huge in Europe, yes.
Yep.
all
But
over.
don't they have a presence in Greenville, South Carolina?
Yes, we've basically got a very great corporate image, or corporate marriage, if you will. Stadler wanted to be in the North American market. So after we got to working with them and we got 12 plants planned, then they decided they needed a North American headquarters, obviously, and we worked with them, and they have put their North American headquarters in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It does two things for us. This facility will be their showroom, front showroom. This will be, where folks will come in. We will not have to worry about replacement parts or anything of that nature. They're on the shelf in Spartanburg, and they will be extremely motivated to make sure we have everything we need, because this is where they will bring prospective other customers like myself to purchase equipment. They'll be very, very. We also made an arrangement with BMW, who has a plane leaving about every 4 hours from Germany. If we need a part, we can get it in about 12, 14 hours, put on the BMW plane. So that was nice too.
The corporate headquarters plans, could you talk a little bit about that and what it could mean to Haywood County?
Yes, I'm from Henderson County, native here, and I have employees pretty much scattered all over, but I really want to do the corporate headquarters here in Haywood. That would bring in our entire corporate staff and all of the support folks that entails. And the long-range plans for the company are 20 plants, not 12, and they'll be on the East Coast region. But we're really impressed with the site. It's absolutely beautiful, and we'd really like to have our corporate headquarters there as soon as we can move towards that.
And also, aren't you all already in negotiations with some other areas?
We are. We have 7 other projects on the board now, 3 in Virginia, 1 in West Virginia, and the Carolinas, and we're looking at 2 projects in Georgia right now, and getting great results, getting great support. Everyone is. A lot of the progressive counties are seeing that, we can't continue to put it in the landfill in the ground. There's tremendous cost to a county if they have to do closure on that landfill. The post-closure costs and the engineering and the test wells and the monitoring of methane gas that comes out of old landfills, all these things are a tremendous burden on some of the communities. One community in Virginia is very near the end of their landfill. DEQ in Virginia says there will be no more new landfills in Virginia. Puts the county in a terrible position, because if they have to close that, they're looking at $800,000 to $1 million per year line item budget that has to be spent just on post-closure and monitoring costs with engineering and all the things that happen. And if they start getting contamination or what have you, then they end up having to purchase additional property as part of the mitigation plan. So we were able to take that community and reduce their volumes by about 80%. And that increased their livelihood of the last remaining sale of that plant, of the landfill, by about 20 years. So it gives them time to plan and work out a solution.
I have a couple of questions. Ken, when this building is in operation and you're standing outside, would you know what's going on inside anyway, by smell, hearing?
The only key will be that those are waste trucks and
No, I understand that.
Yeah, outside of that, you would not know. Absolutely not. No.
Okay, what time of day would the trucks come in? I think we all live in Kenton. We have a lot of truck traffic coming from the paper mill. What time of day maybe would trucks be coming into this facility?
We pretty much miss a lot of the drive time in the morning because the trucks are out on collection. So 9:30 or 10, we get quite a few trucks. And then we'll get some trucks pretty much towards the end of the day around 3 o'clock. But we won't get too many trucks in the morning. It's pretty much the middle of the day when we get, because they'll make the collection. And we'll get a few trucks in the mornings, but it won't be heavy. The nice thing about that is the way it is an industrial park. We already have heavy trucks in that area in the front, and then we'll just be a continuation of that road that's there.
Any guess on how many trucks per day?
We're still modeling it out, but probably 15 or 20, something like that.
I think most of my questions were answered throughout all the other questions. And when the trucks unload, you had showed us a diagram of the phase one building, that shot of that. The trucks will actually come into the front portion of the building to unload, so there's no unloading done outside.
Absolutely nothing outside. There's no operations outside. Everything, all the activities are done inside the building in an enclosed environment. This was something that Diener was extremely happy with, and this is the future. This is where this industry is going. We're not the first, to produce this kind of modeling, but we're the first in this area. But it will be totally enclosed. Even when you're loading out, going to the landfill, on the side of the building, there's room for tractor trailers or large trucks to back on the side, and any rejected material that's put on the receiving floor gets put right on the trucks inside the building. Those are tarped and covered inside the building, and then they go out to the landfill.
I think also in your presentation to us earlier, you talked about how the facility is cleaned and how it's maintained. Could you explain a little bit about that?
Part of our regulation is that the receiving floor is cleaned at the end of every day. We will use air as our cleaning agent, and then it will be a wash down twice a month. Also, for odor control, one thing I didn't mention, we have a company called Ecolo that is out of Canada with offices in Houston, Texas. They do a wonderful job with odor control. We're going to put in a full odor control system with atomizing misters, 140 of them in the roof. We don't know if we'll even need them or not, but if we do need them, we'll have them there for odor control and odor mitigation. So we think we've got the noise and the odor and the fact that everything is occurring inside the building under control.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Ira?
Just wanted to clarify a few things because we've had a number of conversations, and one of the things I wanted to clarify from our conversations is any of the products that come in, anything that you come in on these trucks, you are planning not to store long-term on the facility, but they'll be leaving either as a recycled product that you sell or as a waste product that goes to another disposal site.
Yes, that's exactly right. Anything that's not processable will be removed at the end of the day. That's by regulation from Diener, state regulation. The recyclables, there will be trucks parked at the end of the other end of the building, and they'll be forklift in. And when we get a truckload, those of course go out.
And the other thing, and we have discussed this, we had a question today about hazardous waste, and we had that question before in conversations. You're not planning to recycle any hazardous?
By regulation, we are not allowed to even accept hazardous waste. If we get it, we have a full mitigation program from Diener. We call them immediately and of course we try to identify the truck it came in on, and if we're unable to do that, we call Diener immediately, and they direct us as to how that material is handled and disposed of.
Thank you.
I did have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you said that any waste that you do have is desirable at the landfills, I think, because do you grind it or something?
Well, yeah, on the receiving floor, we have compactors and conveyors, and the landfills love what we're doing, particularly landfill operators, because, it's all about space in a landfill and life. So ours are cubed and compressed, and then put on the truck. And they're able to use those to actually build sidewalls with, and just the airspace alone, they're getting a lot more density and a lot more product in the same cubic space. So they're getting a lot more bang for their buck, and it takes it a lot further. Mm-hmm.
Anything else before we move to the second portion? Okay, Ira? Thank you, and Mark Clasby? We're going to talk a little bit. Ken, just hang around close.
Okay.
We may have some more conversation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mark Clasby and I here, the Director of the Economic Development Council. We have engaged Mr. Allison in quite a few conversations lately to try and work out this process, learn about this process, and work out for Haywood County what this would mean. I'm going to talk a little bit about the terms of the agreement, and please feel free to ask any questions as we go. And Mr. Clasby here was both instrumental in working out the terms of the agreement, helping us to look at what we needed, but also more looking at what the impact is for Haywood County. We are talking about 55 acres in the Beaver Dam Industrial Park. This is a shot up there, and I believe you had the site graded a number of years ago.
Right. Back in 2008, we did a mass grading of the project and created the 10-acre shovel-ready site.
So the site's been there since 2008 and is still available. Fair market value on the property is $780,000. This is primarily because of the grading cost and not just the land acreage cost, but the grading cost of that site. What we discussed with Regional Recycling Center is that they'll pay $450,000 at closing for the site, and that we would offer an additional $330,000 incentive for completion of all phases of the project with a clawback requirements.
As we've talked before, the clawbacks are, very important in any incentive agreement that we do. We've had them with ConMed, with Eklund over the years that, Chip has helped us with. So.
In fact, some of the clawbacks, we've actually got money back.
Oh, yes, absolutely. When commercial vehicle systems left the industrial park back in 2002, 2001, can't remember exactly, they were responsible for various property taxes, and we put that, working with Julie, into a reserve capital fund, and that's where we started accumulating the dollars to be able to do the mass grading. So.
Do you mind, on that clawback, do you mind explaining how that works? I mean, it's easy for us to understand clawback, but explain to the public how that particular.
Well, in one thing that we really do correct here in North Carolina, and particularly Haywood County, and I have to give Chip a lot of credit because he and I have worked on these agreements before, but I'll use the commercial vehicle system as an example. When they decided to close that plant in the industrial park, a clawback agreement is if you do not produce the jobs or the capital investment, then there are going to be certain what we call clawbacks. You're going to be responsible for property taxes or any, and in this particular agreement, you're responsible for paying back money. We did this again. Another example recently is Sunoco Plastics here on Howell Mill Road. That you had to, in their agreement, they said they would create 35 additional jobs. They would spend a minimum of $11 million in capital improvements. And they did create the number of jobs. We had to prove that to the state. But in that situation, the most recent, I think, 2014, they had created $22 million in capital investment. So in that situation, I mean, that's what you want, is to exceed the requirements. If you don't, then the company is responsible for paying back certain funds. In the commercial vehicle, let me go back to that one,
Originally, that when Eklund and Dana Corporation did that, it was 40 acres out at the industrial park, and part of that clawback was that they had to give back 8 acres on that.
And I think you're explaining the rest of it throughout the exact terms that we've got with them.
Yes, yes. In terms of the agreement,
Proposed to.
the agreement that we're working on, they would actually have to build Phase 1. They would have to make that $12 million investment in building and equipment, and they would have to employ 30 people. The timetable on that is fairly quickly. They're going to have that construction begun in about 12 months from the closing date. And based on our conversations, they would very much want to get that in there, get that completed, because that's how they would start making money to fund the other parts of this process. And a $12 million investment in equipment, they would want to begin their return on their investment. So when you get to Phase 2, they would have to invest an additional $8 million. They would have to add an additional facility with 21 employees, and this would happen within 60 months of the closing. We talked about what it would take for the return on investment. We spent a fair amount of time looking back and forth at the types of equipment and the business modeling. And if they do that, we would release $165,000 of the holdback if they complete out Phase 2. If they failed to complete Phase 2, they would owe us $330,000 in full. In the last part of the facility, looking at an additional $4.8 million and 20 employees, that's a minimum within 84 months of closing. And I use that as a minimum because when we talked about the Kansas facility, it has not been operating long, and my understanding is that they actually had to hire additional people beyond what they originally thought to maintain the operations. If they build out all 3 phases, they would get their $330,000, the full incentive on that. If they move their corporate headquarters to Beaver Dam and expand the investment under Phase 2 such that the salaries are equivalent as to those in Phase 3, what we're anticipating up there, then the incentive would be waived. So if we have the corporate headquarters and the number of employees, we based the economic modeling, which was done by Western Carolina, was based primarily on numbers of employees. Phase 1, annual payroll of approximately $1.5 million, 30 employees. At this phase, where would these numbers put them as an employer in Haywood County?
They would, the average weekly wage in Haywood is about $33,000, so they would be above and below, on an average for that, so.
Phase 2, approximately $720,000 with 21 additional employees. And then Phase 3, payroll of about $735,000. So potential annual payroll, 7 years, $2.9 million. How does that equate in our county?
Any new jobs, any new payroll is a positive, so I think it equates very well.
I think these averages are higher than the average salary of county employees.
There are quite a few county employees who don't make $28,900.
That 2.9 payroll, that, it multiplies as it leaves their hands, correct?
Correct. There would be a total economic impact that goes significantly beyond this, as we'll talk about in just a minute. On its face, you would have could bring 75 jobs, 71 slated, based on what was seen in Kansas, and this is today's numbers, 28,900 to 38,000. Brings payroll impact of 2.9 and capital investment out there, which is all taxable. This is not a nonprofit, of $24.8 million. and that's if they build out the 3 phases.
And the $24.8 million impact, that study was done by Western Carolina to get that number?
This is their capital investment. The impact additional by Western Carolina, based on the type of industry, the amount of jobs that are there in other locations in the county. And this is if you don't attract, and you have to remember, when you attract a resource, it's not unusual to attract another facility that can use the resource. And here the resource is going to be these recycled cardboard, recycled plastics, and things like that. So it's not unusual to attract somewhere in our county a business that could use that resource so they don't have to ship to get it. So without that, just looking at the impact, Western Carolina looked at 48 additional jobs in other areas with approximately $1.3 million in additional payroll in other areas based on the factors that you were talking about, Commissioner Sorrells, about how this job would impact other areas and bring about other jobs. The $2.8 million in additional payroll development, overall impact of 16.9 million. That's what Western, by the time those dollars circulate through the community, by the type of matter this is, that's what they came up with.
I think the term clustering, I think, is important.
Correct.
You know, industries will, gravitate toward a source of materials or supplies or services, and I think it's important too with the corporate headquarters. You can have a clustering effect as well.
Well, this area, if you look at the history, was a leader in the paper industry, and they clustered here because of the trees.
Right.
This is, one of the very few. There aren't a lot of these kind of plants in the United States. And so the question is, if you have a chance to get a business like this and you're looking to try and develop an economy or diversify an economy, this is tried technology from Europe, from what we have reviewed, and it's an ability to be one of the first ones to bring it to this area where they can put those resources right back into these other things. We're very much hoping for a broader economic impact out of being one of the first ones to have one of these recycling facilities.
They could be looking for other facilities, in the area. They could be looking for other places to put, partner industry. I could see that on other property and stuff, so, yeah.
That is what we're hoping for.
When was that neighborhood, when was the first building took place? Do you recall?
Late 90s, probably. I'm not sure. Probably shouldn't say. The industrial park was done in the early to mid 90s, and then I did the development later because at that time they put a water tank up there for the industrial park. So it made sense. It kind of made sense. You had kind of some mountain land that was divided into tracts, and you had water line there. So it made sense in that regard as far as infrastructure being there. But it was there. It came later. The industrial park was there, long before the houses were done.
The ConMet plant out there, there's trucks come and go from it.
I'm sorry, say again.
Trucks come and go from the ConMet plant.
All the time. Originally that building was 229,000 square feet when it was commercial vehicle systems. And then last year, a year ago, ConMet completed their expansion of 150,000 square feet. Back in 2004, when I was working on that project, they had like 130 employees, and the recent census that we do every year, they now have 555 employees in that facility.
Yeah, that's a real success story that people don't talk about real often. But they have truck traffic that comes and goes from that plant.
Constantly. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Big trucks.
Right. Okay. Any questions of Mark or Ira or of Mr. Allison? Okay. Well, we're not going to take any action today, obviously, but let's put it on the next agenda, and we can discuss it further at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Mr. Chairman, probably ought to be pointed out also that there will be a public hearing eventually down the road. If the matter goes forward, there has to be a public hearing. So some folks have raised that question.
We'll work out those dates and just have to, what would be the requirement on the public hearing as far as timing goes?
The minimum requirement is 10 days' notice. That doesn't mean we couldn't give more notice than that, but that's the minimum.
And what would necessitate the requirement for a public hearing?
To approve the incentive agreement.
Okay. So the public would have a chance to weigh in on the incentive and the tax implications for the county?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. We'll arrive at that date and properly advertise.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Actually, Mark, the subdivision was done in 2002.
2002?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Allison. Okay, we'll move then to the third item of new business, request approval of the Rural Operating Assistance Program, known as ROPE, which is an application for fiscal year 2015 and 16 from North Carolina Department of Transportation.
Good morning, gentlemen. Mountain Projects is requesting approval to apply for the Rural Operating Assistance Program funding on behalf of the county. This is the funding that comes through the county to Mountain Projects or Haywood Transit. This is the annual application that we do every year, and I provided you with the funding for this year. The components of this are the elderly and disabled funding, the RGP, which stands for Rural General Public, which takes care of general public, and employment funding, which is channeled through, I believe, DHHS for people to go to work.
And Julie has put this application together. You helped with this.
Not with the application, I usually help with the final phase out.
Okay. And as you say, this is done annually. And it basically is for public transit, which Mountain Projects operates.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions about this? We've dealt with this before. So, okay, well, hearing none, then would entertain a motion that the Rural Operating Assistance Program application for fiscal year 2015 and 16 from North Carolina Department of Transportation be approved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Julie. Up next is a request to post notice for the purpose of donating EMS equipment.
Good morning again. I am here today. Our EMS director is also here, and he is probably going to have some more information for you regarding this. We occasionally have equipment that the departments would like to have you donate to other areas, particularly nonprofits and other governments. There is a requirement that we post that at least 5 days before you pass a resolution saying that you are okay to declare surplus and donate to a nonprofit. There are 10 fire departments who are interested in 7 striker chairs and 6 portable suctions that the county is no longer using. They have decided that they're willing to do whatever maintenance they need for these equipment items. But we're bringing it to you since the board is the one who has to approve to post notice. So if you approve to post notice, we can put this out for advertising so that at the next meeting you can pass a resolution regarding this equipment. And I'm sure Jim would be glad to answer any questions you have about the equipment if you have any.
It seems a little backwards in a way, but this is exactly in conformance with North Carolina General Statute 160A-280.
Yes,
specifies how we do this. So we have to approve the posting of the notice, and the actual approval of the transfer will take place at another meeting.
At the next meeting, exactly.
Are there any questions of Jim or of Julie? Okay. If not, then would entertain a motion that for approval to post notice for the purpose of the donation of EMS equipment to various fire departments pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160A-280.
So move.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to the fifth item. We have Dale Burris and Ira Dove to discuss the Pigeon Community Center.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman. I believe also here we have Ms. Lynn Forney, who's the director of the Pigeon Community Center, and Mr. Upton, who, the other Mr. Bill Upton, who is the chair of their...
That's the real Bill Upton.
The real Bill Upton, who is the chair of their board. Wanted to discuss today the Pigeon Community Center. They were very appreciative last year to put a roof on it. They are able to continue their they were able to continue their summer program, which served 40 children. In part of that process and in part of the conversations with them over that, they were impressed by what some groups like Folk Move was able to do with having a building to do some fundraising and do some other things. Ms. Forney in July sent a letter to me regarding that facility and discussing what it would mean to, we talked about what it would mean to take ownership if this is something that did interest them. And I'm putting it before you just because there has been that request. As part of this, and Mr. Burris is very much more capable of discussing the next of it, there are some conditions in the building regarding the electric and the plumbing that would need to be completed, and some of that probably will need to be completed regardless of what you decide on the facility. But I think basically, based on the request and based on the conversations, it's time for the conversation amongst yourselves on whether or not you would want to entertain the notion of doing something like you did with the Folk Moot facility and having Pigeon Community Center have this for $1 with the reverter clause. But I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Burris to talk about the condition of the facility and the present needs.
As Mr. Dove stated, there is some issues, and I'll be honest with you, after the how many ever inches of rain we've got over the last few days that Ms. Forney has not contacted me, I'm very impressed that our roofing contractor did such a great job. It's highly surprising. As me and Mr. Swanger spoke of before, a flat roof is just what it is. It's a flat roof. Yeah.
Wait for the water to run off.
Exactly. I knew you'd catch that. Basically, what we ran into, Ms. Forney had contacted me about their cooler freezer. It went down. Well, I sent a crew over there, and they were not able to reset I'm going to say a 1950 square D breaker. After multiple times, I was actually able to reset that breaker. I can assure you that if it ever trips for any reason, whether it be an arc fault or whether it be an overload on that breaker, there is no resetting. I was a little worried to do it myself, but I am licensed in North Carolina. I do have the arc fault protection to reset that. I wasn't going to jeopardize the staff of the Haywood County Facilities Maintenance. The other thing we ran into, of course, was plumbing. This has kind of been an issue for them because a lot of it's old cast iron, some of it's copper, some of it's ductile iron throughout the building. The biggest area that they looked at, or they had requested originally, was the kitchen cafeteria area. As we looked into it closer with a plumbing contractor, it's just a matter of time that once you repair areas that has been leaking and you transfer that pressure to the older piping, it's going to be back to the same scenario that I think a few of us ran into at Canton Middle School. Once you transfer that pressure, then you start having issues everywhere. So it appeared to be less expensive for everyone to actually go in and just repair the whole water system. And that's not the sanitary, that's domestic water side. So, I know it is money, but it's eventually going to have to be completed anyway, some shape, form, or fashion.
So I guess in a nutshell, what we're talking about here is bringing up the electrical and plumbing to where it should be, which will cost about $33,845.
Let me look at my numbers. I'm sorry, sir, I didn't, I've got the numbers, but I don't.
Yeah, that's what you have in the thing here.
Yes, sir.
33,845.
That would be correct, yeah.
Okay, and that would bring the electrical service and domestic water system up to where it needs to be. And the community center is requesting that they own the building, that we sell it to them for $1. It'd be a reverter, as you mentioned, Ira, that if it's never used, if it ceases to be used for the purpose it's being used now, then it would return. The county would have the option of having it returned.
Yes.
Is that right? And what would the advantages to the community center be of ownership?
As they've discussed, but they may want to, if you want one of their chairs to come up, as they've discussed, it's the fundraising primarily. And if you look at what the others are able to do with that, they're able to borrow money and they're able to fundraise.
It makes you more competitive for grants and that sort of thing if you own the building versus leasing it?
Able to get more donations. I know that I can speak because I sat through a cycle of grants for Folkmoot. Yes, it was important that that was not leased space for them, but for Pigeon Community, I have not researched specifically.
And if the board approved the transfer of ownership, then the county expenses from that point forward would cease.
Correct. Okay. So that is correct.
Questions, comments, observations?
I think as long as we have people in buildings, we see how much longer they last. I was thinking of Morning Star, falling apart, Beaver Dam, terrible shape, so you can go on and on. A lot of our old school facilities standing there, falling down.
It's a good observation. It's absolutely correct.
And the ones that we're in, look a lot better.
And good things for the community go on inside those buildings. Things that, in some cases, government would have to provide or would be expected to provide, is provided by organizations like the Pigeon Community Center. Any other comments or questions? What's the will of the board?
I just appreciate what they do down there. They've been very active throughout the whole time I've been in Haywood County, which has been my entire life. And I would want to make a comment, and Ms. Forney, you probably, hopefully add to this, but probably with the ownership of the building, I think you see more pride in trying to keep it up and trying to really put the effort into it. And, I think that's what we're looking at. It's kind of our building, and we're constantly having to put money in it. Well, we're going to bring it up to standards, but we want that building to maintain and to continue to hopefully improve. And I think that's a good possibility with this move. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's good use for the building.
And I just assume that the Pigeon Community Center and you all have spoken and gone through the future expenses that you may face once it's turned over. When you're leasing a property, you can always call the landlord and get it fixed, and you can always call Dale and get it fixed. And at this point, if it's turned over and there are problems, then it's your responsibility to take care of it. And as long as you've thought through that, because sometimes I don't know if it's better to lease than to own. But other than that, I don't have any problems with it.
Okay. Well, if that's if there are no further questions, then I'd entertain a motion to approve the negotiated sale of the building to the Pigeon Community Center. It's identified as PIN number 8615443633, located at 450 Pigeon Street in Waynesville. So that motion would authorize Ira and Chip to prepare the necessary documentation that would affect the negotiation of that sale for $1.
And as part of that negotiation, we'll complete the repairs as needed before it's turned over.
Right.
And this is for a public purpose, so there's not the upset bid and all that.
Okay. All right, we have that motion on the floor. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, the sixth item of new business is requesting approval to use unauthorized substance monies. That's the drug forfeiture fund that the sheriff's office has for a purchase of certain equipment and body armor and training. Jeff, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for giving us the time this morning. Wanted to look for approval for the use of the unauthorized substance abuse tax money that's already been, I won't say seized, but collected on illegal drug sales here in Haywood County. And the use of that would be to the total of $18,838.75. And that would fund the purchase of and replacement of additional body armor that has outdated. Some of it's up to the last that we were actually purchased that were level 4 body armor was actually purchased in 1999 and 2000. So it's certainly time that's got a shelf life of about 5 to 7 years, so we're well outside of that. The other additional portion of that is to be able to attend training in a team effort or in a team environment. The good part about this is the vast majority of the people attending this training as well too. It's in regards to the illegal or the fight against illegal drug trades and so forth. But the good part is most of these are instructor level people that would be attending as well too that can bring that back and funnel that down to us and expand our training capabilities as well too.
Okay. And these are authorized expenditures of these funds. There's rules about it, and this obviously falls within those. So,
yes, sir.
If there's no questions, would entertain a motion that the unauthorized substance monies be approved for the purchase of described equipment and body armor.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
And Julie, we have a budget amendment to pay for this.
Yes, I have a budget amendment for these funds. You may remember at the end of last year, there was about $53,000 of unauthorized money sitting in fund balance to be used for whatever the sheriff thought he needed. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking a part of that, $18,839 from fund balance, and covering it across the sheriff's office's line items for the expenditures he just told you about.
Okay. If there's no questions, we'll entertain a motion that the budget amendment as presented be approved.
Second.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the final item of new business is requesting approval of a resolution approving an employment agreement between the county and Leon M. Killian III to serve as county attorney. Ira?
Yes. Mr. Killian has been the county attorney for over 40 years and has done that in various capacities on a primarily contract basis. Upon reviewing how much work there is to do and the costs that have been paid out to the firm for Mr. Killian's services, which was, and some of the other outside work that a county attorney could do if you had an in-house and full-time county attorney. We came up with the past 4 years, about $138,000 that you're paying to the outside, and upon review, in addition to a retainer at about $53,000. The agreement spells out it's a 5-year agreement, and it spells out that Mr. Killian would be working for the county full-time no later than December 31st, 2016, salary at $125,000. This is based on his experience and what is typical for very experienced county attorneys around the state. There's a broad range of attorney costs, and it largely depends on how many years of experience you have and abilities as a county attorney. Until such time that he's able to come in full-time, he'll be paid $100,000 flat, and the additional cost, many of those additional retained costs would simply go away. So instead of paying $138,000 next year, you'll pay $100,000. The benefits would accrue just the retirement prior to his full-time engagement. I had hoped to get him here by December 31st of this year. Mr. Killian is very much in demand in Raleigh and has to wait a year before we can have the full-time services here. But there are a lot of projects in different offices, and you are paying out different fees to attorneys. So I think from a standpoint, this would be a cost saving if you could have a full-time county attorney. There is a resolution accompanying on the front for the Board of Commissioners to appoint the county attorney to serve at its pleasure and be its legal advisor.
And there's a detailed employment agreement as well.
Correct, and that was posted online for those who want to read contracts. It's there.
Okay, comments, questions?
No, and we've had multiple discussions in closed session about this over a period of several months, so.
I think it's a wise move for the county, and it's a good deal for the taxpayers. Well, if there's no further questions, then would entertain a motion to approve the resolution approving the employment agreement and the appointment of Leon M. Killian III to serve as county attorney.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. I suppose you will accept, Chip, is that right?
That's right.
I will. I'm looking forward to not having to make that drive back and forth that I've made for 25 years now.
Yeah, I can sympathize.
And I love my county.
On the timing of the public hearing and so forth, we can't do that today, but we need to work out a date on that so we can get it advertised. So if you would, between Chip and Ira, and let the board know what options there are.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that completes our agenda. At this point, we'd entertain a motion to enter into closed session for the purpose of reviewing closed session minutes under authority of General Statute 143-318.11A1.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we have returned from closed session. At this point, would entertain a motion that the following actions be taken regarding a series of closed session minutes. First, to approve and release the July 20th, 2015 closed session minutes under authority of Statute 143-318.11A1. And thereafter, to approve but not release at this time July 20th, 2015 attorney-client privilege minutes, 143-318.11A3, August 3rd, 2015 attorney-client privilege minutes, August 3rd, 2015 attorney-client privilege minutes, August 3rd, 2015 economic development minutes, 143-318.11A4, August 17, 2015 economic development minutes, and August 17th, 2015 economic development minutes. The following would be approved but not considered for further review for purposes of release. And that's because there are personnel minutes, June 15, 2015, personnel 143-318.11A6, July 20th, 2015, personnel, August 3rd, 2015, personnel, and September 8, 2015, personnel. Would entertain a motion to take those actions as noted.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Any other business for the board?
The great news is the sun is out after 11 days.
I saw people running for cover.
After 11 days.
Okay, if there's no further business, then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you.